Death is not the most terrifying end. Far more terrifying is when you live with a dead soul and realize the one you love most is suffering alongside you because of a sin you can never atone for. I stood before the mirror staring at my reflection. It was a stranger. My eyes were sunken deep, ringed with ink-dark circles etched with horror and despair. My skin was pale, a sickly greenish hue devoid of any life. Every line of my face, once full and radiant, was now gaunt and bony. I tried to force a smile, but my lips twitched, unable to lift. It was the twisted grin of a demon. I used to be Aiden Reynolds, a talented, energetic architect with a dreamlike love beside my beautiful wife Maya, whom I swore to protect and bring happiness to for life. But now I was just a shadow, a withered skeleton awaiting death. And the most painful thing was to see Maya's eyes, once full of boundless love, gradually shift to pity, then to unconcealed fear. I knew I was becoming a burden, a living ghost haunting her life. And I had to make the cruelest decision to set her free, even if it meant killing myself one more time. My life with Maya was once an endless love song, woven from smiles, shared dreams, and deep understanding. We met in a small cafe in Paris, where I was working on an architectural project, and she was a freelance photographer seeking inspiration. Our eyes met through the coffee steam and the smell of toasted bread, and from that moment I knew my life had changed. Maya had a smile as radiant as the morning sun, sparkling eyes that told tales of journeys, and wavy brown hair that I loved to gently brush. We married 2 years later, a simple yet love-filled wedding at an ancient chapel in the Tuscan countryside with only a few close friends and family. We vowed to spend our entire lives together, no matter how rough the waves might be. We built a small home in Boston where I opened my own architectural firm named Visionary Designs, an ambitious name true to my spirit. Maya continued her passion for photography, capturing life's most beautiful moments from shimmering wedding photos to breathtaking landscape shots. Together we decorated our house with souvenirs from our travels, photos Maya took, and designed sketches I drew. Every little corner was steeped in love and happiness. We didn't have children, but our life as a couple was still complete, filled with laughter and endless stories. We had romantic candlelight dinners, weekend mornings sipping coffee and reading together, trips exploring the world from the ancient streets of Rome to the pristine beaches of the Maldives. Everything was perfect, so much so that sometimes I wondered if this was a dream, a vision too beautiful to be true. However, every dream must eventually wake up. The first crack appeared 3 years ago, not from an argument or disagreement, but from within my own body. I began to feel unusually tired, frequently experiencing dull headaches and fleeting dizziness, sometimes a tingling sensation in my fingertips. At first, I just thought it was due to overwork. Visionary Designs was growing rapidly with large projects that required me to work day and night. Intense work pressure, late-night sketches, and tight deadlines were commonplace for an ambitious architect like me. I was the type of person who never gave up, always believing I could overcome my own limits, that with just a little more effort, everything would be fine. "Aiden, you look so pale," Maya once said, lightly touching my forehead. Her eyes were full of worry, eyes I once thought were symbols of love and trust. "You should rest. Don't overwork yourself. I'm worried about you." "I'm fine, my love." I tried to reassure her, brushing away the worry in her eyes with a forced smile. "It's just a big project, almost done. I want to build a really solid future for us, you understand." I tried to ignore the symptoms, telling myself that a little vitamin, enough sleep, and I'd be fine. I didn't want her to worry, didn't want her to see me weak. I started hiding the pains, the dizzy spells, trying to appear as normal as possible. Until one fateful morning, the day everything fell apart. I was sitting at my computer drawing designs, my mind completely focused on the complex architectural lines of a new skyscraper in downtown Boston. Suddenly, a terrible headache struck, violent as a sledgehammer without any warning. The pain spread quickly across my head as if thousands of needles were piercing through. Everything around me spun, blurring like a smudged painting, no longer clear. I tried to hold on to the desk but felt half of my body stiffen, unable to move, as if it no longer belonged to me. The pen in my hand trembled, then dropped, making a small thud on the wooden floor. I tried to call Maya, who was in the kitchen, but my voice caught in my throat, unable to utter a sound. A cold, numb sensation spread rapidly throughout my body, from my toes to the top of my head, and I collapsed, consciousness fading. When I woke up, I found myself in a hospital. The bright white lights stung my eyes. The strong smell of antiseptic was suffocating. Maya sat by the bed, her eyes swollen from crying, her face as pale as paper. Worry and horror were evident in every line. A middle-aged doctor with graying hair and a serious face stood beside the bed holding a folder. "Mr. Aiden Reynolds," he began, his voice calm yet heavy, like he was reading a verdict. "You've had a stroke, but this isn't a typical stroke. Test results show you have a rare, severe autoimmune neurological disorder. Adult-onset Lee syndrome. This disease is relentlessly attacking your central nervous system, destroying nerve fibers, causing your body to gradually weaken, and eventually it will take away your ability to move, speak, and even breathe. We are very sorry to inform you that this is an incurable disease. Current treatments can only slow down its progression. Your remaining time is not long. It could be a few years, it could be a few months depending on the speed of the disease's attack. He spoke of numbers of complex medical terms of rare cases around the world, but my ears buzzed. Everything became meaningless. A slow death sentence. That was the only phrase that lingered in my mind, repeating like a ghostly echo. I looked at Maya, her eyes like a bottomless lake reflecting despair and loss. She reached out a trembling hand to touch mine, but I felt as if a wall of ice had risen between us. My world had collapsed. From that moment, my life turned into hell on earth. I had to endure constant physical pain, uncontrollable muscle spasms, numbness and tingling sensations throughout my body from my toes to the top of my head. I underwent countless painful treatments, direct spinal injections, high-intensity physical therapy, acupuncture, all just to slow down the irreversible weakening process. The terrible side effects of the medication left me constantly nauseous, exhausted, and my mind always heavy, hazy, unable to focus. I was once an energetic, vibrant man, always the center of every party, every conversation. Now I struggled with every step, every word. My hands trembled uncontrollably. I couldn't even hold a pencil or a computer mouse. Whenever I tried to sketch, the lines became messy, aimless. I couldn't continue my design work. My company, Visionary Designs, the brainchild I had built with blood, sweat, and tears, gradually weakened, forced to close. My career, my future, my dreams all collapsed in an instant, vanishing into thin air, leaving no trace. Maya was by my side during those darkest days. She abandoned her freelance photography work, put aside all her passions, every major contract, dedicating all her time to caring for me. She patiently spoon-fed me soup, helped me to the bathroom, dressed me, read books to me when I couldn't hold them myself. She still smiled, still spoke words of encouragement, still tried to hold on to a glimmer of hope in her eyes. She told me funny stories, reminisced about our beautiful memories, trying to pull me out of the darkness, but I knew she was suffering. I saw the exhaustion etched on her face, saw the sleepless nights, saw her eyes reddened whenever she thought I was sound asleep. She lost weight noticeably. Her once slender figure now became gaunt and hollow. I was a burden, an unbearable burden crushing her life. I gradually became irritable, sullen, and prone to anger. I often yelled at Maya over trivial things, small mistakes, just to push her away. Go do your own thing. Don't waste your time on a cripple like me, I screamed, my voice hoarse while hot tears streamed down my cheeks. I loathed myself, loathed the emaciated image in the mirror. I didn't want Maya to see me like that. I didn't want her to see the man she loved, once strong, now just a shadow of his former self, rotting and useless. I wanted her to be happy, but my presence only brought her pain. I had locked myself in a prison of despair, and I believed the only way for her to escape was for me to make myself the villain in her life. Physical pain could be endured, but the emotional agony of watching the one I loved suffer because of me, that was what killed me every day. I knew I had to do something, no matter how cruel, to free her from my shackles. It was Christmas Eve, a night that should have been filled with joy and warmth. Maya had tried her best to decorate the house, lighting twinkling lights, placing a small Christmas tree with gifts beneath it. She had prepared a sumptuous dinner, trying to create a normal atmosphere as if everything was fine. The soft Christmas music echoed through the room, but only highlighted the heavy silence between us like a tragic ballad. We sat at the dining table, the food growing cold. I looked at Maya. Her eyes still tried to hide her sadness, but I clearly saw the emptiness, the exhaustion in them. She deserved better than this. She deserved a happy, free life, a healthy man to share every moment with, to embark on new adventures with, to grow old peacefully with. I couldn't give her that anymore. I was just an empty shell, a heavy stone weighing down her life. Maya, I began, my voice hoarse, each word a knife twisting in my throat. I had rehearsed this scenario hundreds of times in my head, every word carefully chosen to ensure the cruelest effect. We should get a divorce. She froze the fork in her hand, clattering onto her plate, making a sharp sound in the quiet room. The Christmas music suddenly seemed out of place. Grating. Aiden, what are you saying? Are you insane? You know I would never leave you. Her voice trembled, filled with shock, as if she had just heard a curse. You have to leave me, Maya, I said, trying to keep my voice as cold as possible, though my heart was shattering into pieces, bleeding in pain. I can't bear it anymore. I don't want you to waste your life on someone like me. I paused, gathering my last ounce of strength to utter the most horrific lie of my life. A lie I knew would haunt me forever. I don't love you anymore. My feelings for you died a long time ago. I'm sick of this life, sick of myself and sick of you. I don't want to see you anymore. I looked into her eyes, trying to steel myself, hiding the weakness, the despair screaming inside. I had to make her believe that I was a terrible person, unworthy of love. I found someone else, someone healthy who can give me a life you can't. She understands me better than you do. I fabricated a story about Eleanor, a former colleague in architecture whom I occasionally met at events. I tried to create a perfect image of this woman, saying she was young, vibrant, and always supported my decisions, a complete contrast to the image I was painting of Maya. I'm sorry, but I can't keep living a lie anymore. I want to be free. It was a cruel twist I created myself. A terrible lie uttered from love and utter despair. I thought that if she hated me, if she thought I was a traitor, she would leave me more easily. She wouldn't feel guilty living a new life without me. Maya's face was pale, her eyes wide, filled with hurt and disbelief. Tears began to fall streaming down her cheeks, but there were no desperate sobs. Instead, there was a deadly silence, an ultimate disappointment. She didn't scream, didn't reproach me. She just looked at me, her gaze piercing my soul, and then uttered a trembling sentence. You're lying. You're lying to me, aren't you? You can't do this to me. You're not the Aiden I love. I'm not lying. I roared, forcing myself to be harsh, pushing her even further away, severing the last link. I feel nothing anymore. We're over. Go, don't bother my life anymore. Then she stood up, the chair crashing backward, making a heavy thud. She didn't say another word. She walked straight into the bedroom, packing her belongings quickly, the dry rustling of clothes echoing in the terrifying silence. I heard the suitcase dragging on the floor, every sound like a knife piercing my heart. I sat there helpless, unable to move, unable to utter a word. My tears flowed inward, salty, mixed with the taste of blood in my mouth from biting my lip tightly. I had done it. I had pushed her away, but the price was too high. Maya returned to the living room, in her hand a small suitcase and her familiar handbag. She stood at the door, turning to look at me one last time. Her eyes were icy cold, devoid of any warmth or love. All that remained was disgust, hatred, and an indescribable pain. Aiden, you will regret this. You will have to live with your lies. You will never find happiness. You will have to live with this name of a traitor. Then she turned and walked away. The door slammed shut, echoing in the empty, cold space like the reverberation of a death burying everything good between us. I collapsed onto the floor, screaming in despair, but no sound escaped my throat. I had lost Maya. I had killed our love with the cruelest lie. I was physically crippled, and now I had made myself spiritually crippled. A month later, I received a white envelope postmarked from a law firm. It was the divorce petition from Sarah. Not Maya, but her lawyer. I looked at the document, every line tearing at my heart. She no longer wanted to be with me. She wanted to end everything. I signed it. I had no strength left to resist. I knew that's what she wanted, and perhaps what I deserved. I had lost my wife, and now I had lost the woman I loved more than life itself. The house felt emptier than ever. I officially became a solitary figure, a self-exile, living with the haunting of the lies I had uttered. Months passed, and I lived like a shadow, sinking deeper into the decay of my body and mind. The disease had tormented me to the point where I barely recognized myself in the mirror. I lay there in a hospital bed, entangled in wires, machines beeping steadily. I was waiting to die slowly and painfully, without a glimmer of hope. While I was drowning in despair, Maya began her own journey, not to forget me, but to seek the truth, to find the reason behind my cruel change. Initially, pain and anger overwhelmed everything. She tried to erase every trace of me from her life, cutting off all contact, deleting photos, but then the logic of an intelligent and loving woman won out. Meanwhile, Frank Gallagher, my best friend, also sensed that something was wrong. He had tried to contact me many times, but I didn't answer calls or texts. He also noticed Maya becoming emaciated and distant, no longer the radiant girl she used to be. Worried about both of us, Frank sought out Maya. "Maya, what's wrong?" Frank asked, his eyes full of concern. "Aiden, he's severely ill, isn't he? Is he trying to hide something?" Frank was a sharp lawyer. He immediately noticed the abnormality in my actions. Maya hesitated at first, but then she couldn't hold back any longer. She told Frank about my harsh words, about the lie of someone else, and her own suspicions. Frank, with his intelligence, quickly pieced together the events. He recalled the times I complained about my health and our last conversations. "Maya, I believe Aiden isn't that kind of person. He's trying to protect you," Frank said. His eyes filled with understanding. "He's a very proud man. He wouldn't want you to see him weak, and I think he doesn't want you to live with a vegetable for the rest of your life." One afternoon, as I lay half awake, drifting in delirium, a familiar voice echoed in my ear. Aiden! I opened my eyes with difficulty. It was Frank. He held my hand tightly. His eyes were filled with worry, anger, and pain. What the hell have you done, Aiden? Do you know how much Maya has suffered? She divorced you. She was devastated. Why did you say those things to her? Why did you lie to her about having someone else? I closed my eyes, tears streaming down my temples. I had no other choice. I didn't want her to suffer because of me. I didn't want her to see me slowly die. I wanted her to be happy. Frank sighed. Then he told me everything. About the months Maya struggled after our divorce. About the nights she tormented herself crying silently in her empty apartment. About how persistently she sought to understand why I had changed so suddenly, why I had spoken such cruel words. She found out about your illness, Aiden, Frank said, his voice emotional mixed with admiration. She researched the symptoms, the prognosis. She found the medical documents you tried to hide. She knew you were hiding something. She knew you loved her more than anything. Aiden couldn't have said those words. She told herself, sleepless night after night. He loves me more than anything. Something must be wrong. He must be hiding something. After investigating, she paid particular attention to a name repeatedly mentioned in the medical bills, Dr. Eleanor Vance, a renowned neurologist whom I had only briefly mentioned. Maya went to Dr. Vance's clinic but was turned away for reasons of medical confidentiality. Undeterred, she patiently waited, finding every way to speak with the doctor. Frank, with his connections in the medical field, helped Maya officially contact Dr. Vance. And then Frank revealed a shocking truth that hit me like lightning, making my whole body tremble. She went to see Dr. Eleanor Vance, your neurologist. She talked to her for a long time, thoroughly researching the disease, the latest treatments, and even promising clinical trials. She never gave up. Dr. Vance said there's a new experimental gene therapy underway in Switzerland. Frank said, his voice full of hope mixed with astonishment. A groundbreaking gene therapy that could slow down the progression of the disease and even potentially reverse some of the nerve damage. It's very expensive and there are many risks, but it's your only hope, Aiden. And Maya sold everything she had, your house, her car, all her most valuable mementos, to afford your participation in that therapy. She did it all without telling you a word. She wanted you to have a chance, Aiden. I was shocked. No, I wasn't just shocked. I was numb. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Maya did all that, after I had treated her so cruelly, after I had lied to her, pushed her out of my life with the most repulsive lie. She did that. I whispered, tears streaming down my face, soaking the pillow. After everything I did, Frank nodded, squeezing my hand. She never stopped loving you, Aiden. She knew you were lying, knew you wanted to protect her. She endured all your harsh words just because she understood. And she wanted you to have a chance to live. That's why she sent you the divorce papers. Not to leave you, but so you wouldn't feel guilty, so you wouldn't think you were tying her down. She wanted you to be free, wanted you to be able to fight for yourself without worrying about her. She wanted you to have a new life even without her. I lay there staring at the ceiling. The whole story had painfully and miraculously flipped. Maya didn't hate me. She had never stopped loving me. She had sacrificed everything for me, even when I had cruelly driven her away. My lie created from love had become a vicious cycle, pushing both of us into hell. I was too blinded by fear, too selfish in my despair to realize Maya's great love and sacrifice. I had lost her not because of illness, but because of my own deceit, because of my cowardice. But now a faint glimmer of hope flickered in the darkness, a chance to live and a chance to atone to the woman I loved more than life itself. I had to fight. For her, for the love she had given me. The decision was made. I would go to Switzerland. I had nothing left to lose, but now I had everything to gain to be worthy of Maya's sacrifice. The flight to Switzerland was a long and challenging journey. I went with Frank. He had arranged everything and was always by my side, encouraging me every step of the way, never leaving me for a second. He helped me contact Dr. Vance and the medical center, ensuring all procedures were done quickly, overcoming all bureaucratic hurdles. I lay on the stretcher, my body weak, but within me an unprecedented flame of hope burned, a flame ignited by love and sacrifice. I didn't know if this therapy would succeed, but I knew I had to try. I had to live not just for myself, but also for Maya, for the love she had given me. In Switzerland, I was taken to an advanced medical research center nestled among snow-capped mountains with medical technologies I had never imagined, like stepping into a science fiction world. Dr. Eleanor Vance was directly in charge of my case. She was a middle-aged woman with intelligent, experienced eyes and a confident voice exuding professionalism and compassion. "This is a new gene therapy, Aiden," Dr. Vance explained, her voice calm but confident. We will introduce genetically modified stem cells into your body with the hope they will replace damaged nerve cells and halt the disease's progression. This is a breakthrough in the treatment of Lee syndrome, but also a great challenge. The risks are substantial. Unforeseen side effects can occur, even life-threatening, including severe immune reactions or organ failure. But this is your best chance, Aiden, a chance to live. The days that followed were a struggle between life and death, a fierce battle I had to face alone. I underwent intravenous gene therapy, mild radiation sessions focused on damaged brain areas, and countless injections of cell-regenerating drugs. My body reacted violently, like a machine being broken down and rebuilt at the same time. I had continuous high fevers, incessant vomiting, and there were times I thought I couldn't bear it anymore, wanting to give up everything. Each pain tore at my body. Each side effect seemed to swallow my will, pushing me into the abyss of despair. I grew emaciated, lost a lot of hair, and I often drifted into delirium, sometimes even calling Maya's name unconsciously. But every time I thought of Maya, thought of her smile, her radiant eyes, thought of her sacrifice, I gained more strength to fight. I recalled our beautiful memories, our vows under the Tuscan moon, and I knew I couldn't give up. I had to live to atone, to be able to genuinely apologize to her, and to be able to love her again in a more sincere way without any lies. I had to live to prove that her sacrifice was not in vain. And then a miracle happened, little by little, slowly but surely. After several weeks of intensive treatment and dedicated recovery, I began to feel small but distinct changes in my body. The headaches gradually subsided, no longer as severe as before, now just mild aches. My muscles no longer trembled violently and uncontrollably. I could lift my hand on my own, hold a spoon to eat, though it was still very difficult and slow. I could get out of bed without complete assistance. I could even walk a few small steps with the aid of a walker. These were small advances, but for me, they were a whole world, a sign of life re-emerging, a new hope. Dr. Vance smiled radiantly, a smile I had never seen on her serious face. The initial results are very promising, Aiden. The disease's progression has significantly slowed down, and new nerve cells are beginning to form, replacing the damaged ones. This is an unexpected success, a miracle we poured all our heart and soul into achieving. However, the recovery journey will still be very long. You will need intensive physical therapy, rehabilitation, and time. A lot of time, along with perseverance. I cried with joy, cried with gratitude, and cried at the miracle of life. I had a second chance, a chance to live, a chance to love, and a chance to atone to the woman who sacrificed everything for me. After 3 months of intensive treatment and specialized rehabilitation, I was discharged from the hospital. I was still weak, still needed assistance, but I could walk on my own, speak clearly, and most importantly, I could hold a pencil again to sketch my first lines, albeit very tremblingly. Those initial sketches were no longer meaningless scribbles, but began to take shape, though still clumsy. I could return to life, though, as an Aiden, no longer perfect as before, but much stronger, much more mature, with a heart full of gratitude and love. I returned to Boston a completely changed man, not just physically, but emotionally. I had learned the greatest lesson of my life. Love and honesty are the most important things, guiding lights in the darkness. I sought out Maya. She was living in a small apartment, leading a simple life focused on her photography. I stood at her door, my heart pounding in my chest as if it would burst. I didn't know how she would react. Would she forgive me? Would she accept this imperfect Aiden, an Aiden scarred by illness and mistakes? I rang the doorbell. The door opened and Maya stood there. She looked at me, her eyes wide, full of surprise, shock, and even doubt. Her face was still thin, but her eyes had regained a bit of light, a faint glimmer of hope. Aiden, how are you? What are you doing here? Maya, I said, my voice hoarse, each word laden with remorse and love, like a final confession. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for everything. I lied to you, I hurt you. I did all of it because I thought it was the only way to protect you, to free you from being burdened by me. I was too selfish, too scared, but I was wrong. I was wrong not to trust in your love and your strength. I told her about the trip to Switzerland, about the experimental therapy, about the miraculous recovery. I told her about what Frank had said about her silent sacrifice, about how she sold everything so I could have a chance to live. I confessed all my fears, my torments, the long solitary nights when I locked myself in darkness. I no longer hid anything. I had learned that only the truth could set us free, no matter how painful it might be. Maya listened, tears streaming down her face, but they weren't tears of sorrow or resentment, but of understanding and compassion. When I finished speaking, she didn't say a word. She walked over, gently embracing me. She sobbed in my arms, and so did I. Tears of forgiveness, of healing, of a love that was still there deep in our hearts, now burning more intensely than ever, erasing all boundaries of separation. "You're so foolish, Aiden," she said, her voice choked, resting her head on my shoulder. "I never stopped loving you. I just wanted you to live to be happy. No matter what I wanted you to be with me, I will never leave you again." We decided to start over. Not a hasty reunion, but a slow journey to heal the deep wounds in both our souls. We attended therapy sessions together, no longer hiding anything, no matter how small. I returned to my architectural work, but no longer plunged into it frantically as before. I designed human-centered buildings, healing spaces for the community places where people like me could find peace and hope. Maya continued her photography work, and she also dedicated time to projects documenting stories of people overcoming severe illnesses, families mending after tragedy, stories of resilience and love. We don't know what the future holds. My disease is still there, though it's managed. Dr. Vance said it could recur at any time, a constant reminder of life's fragility. But we are no longer afraid. We have learned to live with uncertainty, learned to cherish every moment, every breath, every touch. We are no longer legally married, but that no longer matters. We understand that our love has transcended all limits, all fears, and all lies. We live together, accompanying each other on this healing journey, like true life partners who have found each other again from the ashes of breakdown and ultimate pain, stronger than ever. This story of Aiden and Maya is a poignant testament to the power of love, sacrifice, and the profound, unpredictable consequences of deceit, even when it's born from a place of deep affection. Aiden's slow physical decline pushed him to a cruel decision to free the one he loved, but it was that very love, combined with Maya's unwavering resilience and compassion, that became their lifeline, offering a second chance, not just for Aiden, but for both of them. What do you think about Aiden's decision? Can that lie be forgiven when it stemmed from deep love and a desire to protect? And Maya, do you admire her love and resilience, fighting for their bond, even when she was pushed away so harshly? Leave your comments below and share this story with friends to reflect on the boundaries of love, sacrifice, and the path to healing. Hit like if this story touched your heart, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss our next emotional tales and unexpected twists. Thank you for listening. See you in the next video. Goodbye.